Hello, everybody. My name is Sava, and I'm going to uh, deliver for you the development in C++ training. So welcome, and thank you for joining this opportunity for both of us. I'll jump quickly to my slides. So a bit about me, okay? Not very interesting, but still I have to mention. I have about 25 years of development experience, training and management as well. My main focus was in backend development in technologies like C++, C#, Java. Currently, I work and I'm employed as a chief technology officer in one of the biggest broker dealers in Eastern Europe, where I'm managing multicultural international teams. I'm developing and delivering pro trading platforms, which are related to high frequency trading. This is where the C++ comes into place. And my domain expertise, I would say, or focus in the past years was in the areas of the trading, betting, and security industries. Apart from that, I also love and enjoy my own record shop, which I'm very proud of, as a hobby business. Right. So I would like just to mention who is John Shelltrop, and this is the father of the C++ language. Okay. He's the designer and the guy who implemented the first version, and he keeps maintaining it for over 30 years over all the standards that passed. And I would like to mention what is his advice about the success in this area. It is a lot of reading, a lot of practice, and focus on the craft or the skill that we need to acquire. Nowadays, the knowledge is shared. It's everywhere around us. It's all about skill set. So what we need to do in this training, and you particularly in your careers, upfront, you have to master your skills and have to master the C++ language. It is a long road. It doesn't come easy, right? It might take years, but the benefits are huge. I can guarantee you that. Right. So what we will learn in this training, because it is focused, couple of things. First is, of course, to get your certification, your exam, to be prepared for the industry, more or less, right? And our training will include universal concepts of computer programming, the syntax and semantics of the C++ language, the principles of the object-oriented model and its implementation in the C++ language, and of course the STL, the standard C++ language libraries. We will be using the standard 17, which is the nowadays de facto standard for C++. When is our schedule? We will start at November 13, 9:30 a.m. We will end at December the 23rd at 1 p.m. and there will be no breaks in between, right? We'll do that 24/7. But on a serious note, that will be each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between 9:30 and 1 p.m. your time. The structure of each session, of course, it depends on the group that you'll be participating, but in general, we'll have like 1 hour in theory and 2 hours in practice, because again, it's about skill, it's about practicing the skills and be prepared for the exam and the real job, real work. Okay, so who is this training for? Right, so there are no limitations. Everyone who is intelligent, who has strong will to learn, keep smiling, of course, because we have to love our job, is welcomed, and I hope I can bring something on the table for you guys. Since many years, people keep talking that that's a dead technology, okay, that it will end. Nowhere near that. Fortunately or unfortunately, depends on the point of view, but the salaries for the C++ guys keeps increasing, the demand keeps increasing, and that's these are the facts. And it's hard to find really good C++ developers. I'm talking about experience that I have. I used to work in a US company, entirely remote, for 4 years. And the hard thing for me as a manager was to find really good C++ developers. We were paying more than the .NET guys and the Java guys, but still it was really hard. So where you can use this language and this technology, that's obvious. Everything related to real time, everything that is related to gaming industries, to embedded software, critical software, system software, you name it, right? All the tools, most of the tools that we are using on a daily basis under Windows, Mac, or whatever, are built with C++. So I would really love to lead this course, and I hope that we'll have some fun together. So I don't want to bother you with more details and so on. Feel free to ask any questions you might have.
Hello.
Hello, Nikolov.
Hi, Sava.
Hi.
You have a lot of experience, and except C++,
Yeah.
you will take also another course.
Yep.
This is web application security.
Yes, with .NET.
Yes. And using also in the current today, we don't have other developers trainers. Can you share some words for C#, Java, and C++? Why it is difficult to find C++ developers?
Because the learning curve is huge, right? If I have to compare, let's say, if I have to learn Java compared to C++, with Java, it's like traveling from Sofia, my hometown, to Brussels with plane. And if I have to do it with C++, it's like traveling from Sofia to Brussels with a car, right? So with the plane, I'll get there for, let's say, 2 hours. With the car, it will take me a couple of days, right? But with the plane, I won't see pretty anything, just clouds somewhere there. With the car, when I'm traveling, I'll see all the details, all the landscape, everything around this route. And that will be the comparison. So it requires a lot of investment, a lot of personal dedication, really hard. It's hard to comprehend, and it requires a lot of efforts, but it pays off. It pays off a lot. From many standpoints, money if you wish, job security if you wish, demand, satisfaction, of course. The satisfaction when you deliver something written in C++ is great. It's amazing.
Another question from the audience: how C++ is used in real world? What kind of applications can C++ developer create?
Yeah, I can give you a couple of examples in our company. We are proceeding, we are brokers, so we are making trades on the NYSE, New York Stock Exchange, right? So all the engines that process these orders are developed in C++, and the reason is because it needs to be fast and really efficient. Because when we talk about scaling, we have like thousands of orders per day, millions per month. We cannot achieve this performance with other technologies, or if we are able to achieve it, that will be very expensive from infrastructure perspective. In other words, we will have to use a lot of hardware to do that. So that's one aspect. The other aspect I was dealing in the recent years is security, of course. Most of the security software is built in C++. There is a huge demand for security C++ developers worldwide, of course. Even in the remote environment, companies like GFI Securities, their entire portfolio of products is built in C++. Of course, gaming, For instance, in Sofia, there is the Ubisoft, and I shouldn't mention the names, but a couple of gaming companies which are looking for C++ developers. So in reality, the the jobs that or the software that can be built with C++ is limitless. All the automotive industry, embedded software, it's everywhere. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you. What exam can be passed after the course?
After the course, we will pass the C++ certification exam, the entry point exam, which is, I would say, relevantly easy. It consists of 60 questions for about 70 minutes. And with some good focus, that's easy to be done, to be achieved.
And what is the starting point for a developer? Should someone start from C++ or from Java?
That's $1 million questions, right? So I will share my personal opinion, and based on my experience, in the past, let's say 7 years, I've interviewed like thousands of people. I had hundreds of people. All of these guys who started with C++ were awesome, right? No exceptions. The same is not applicable for the other two languages. And that's very logical. It is because, as I mentioned in this example, with the C++, you learn, you understand all the landscape. So there is nothing that can stop you afterwards. The only thing that can stop you is your brain, or the limit of your brain. So I would strongly recommend C++ to be a starting point for your career. That will give you huge opportunities to quickly adapt and learn other technologies, because they're based on that. You will understand immediately how they work. You understand even how PHP is interpreted, or how the virtual machine works for Java and for .NET. And you will write efficient code in all other technologies. So that's my personal opinion. And I have some observations about it.
Okay, I see another question for C++ exam. This is an exam from C++ Institute.
Mm-hmm.
There is I would like to make a clarification for the audience. The technologies have corresponding trainings, and the trainings have corresponding exams. When one technology is created by a proprietary vendor, like, for example, Microsoft, Cisco, or other, then the same company creates the exam. Of course, there is another territories, like open source territories. C++ is such an example. In this open source territory, there is no ownership of the framework of the technology. Therefore, there is no single authority for certification. That leads that in many technologies you have multiple certifications. In C++, there is not so many alternatives. C++ Institute is one of well-established organization, and they have a C++ exam. And one question for Sava. You have over 20 years of experience. How you move to this, to your career? What is your journey? How you start? What was going next?
I started because of the love of the computers, for the love of the computers, right? When I was a kid, and I started with what was back then popular around that was, and the first thing I saw actually, that was Turbo C. That was the way we could build Windows graphical interface. So I fell in love, and it still holds me for so many years, right? Actually, I was able to move to, when I was in my 20s, my early 20s, I was able to move to Austria, Vienna, to relocate and to work there as a developer, because I knew C++ and they were looking for someone with, besides the other skill set, like C# was then back then, yeah, and SQL Server, someone with C++, and I was one of the few available around, right? So that gave me a huge opportunity to move there and to work for a couple of years, and I'm very glad for that. I saw a question that there are too few jobs in Georgia for C++ developers. I don't know how is the case in Georgia, but in our country, it's in good demand. But for remote positions, there is huge demand, right? Actually, in my previous company, it was entirely a remote company with over 5,000 employees. Actually, I had a couple of colleagues from Georgia, which were great developers, by the way. And the payment is decent. And there are a lot of opportunities. Nowadays, the world is entirely remote. We are all in the cloud. So you shouldn't restrict yourself into your under your frontiers, right? It won't be, there is a question. Will it be necessary to use MS Windows OS during course? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever you prefer, whatever is your preference. You can use Mac OS, you can use Linux. It's up to you. You can use C-Lion. We can use Visual Studio, whatever. That's not a proprietary technology, as Nick explained.
Yes. What kind of EDCC integrated development environment which we will use?
Probably I'll be using Microsoft Visual Studio, but maybe we can use as well C-Lion. C-Lion is a very good tool from JetBrains. Unfortunately, it's paid, but it has 30 days trial period, which fits our needs. Again, it's up to your preference. Doesn't matter, to be honest.
As one of the main advantages of C++, except the speed, is also the portability.
Yeah. Although it's quite tricky, but yeah. And in general, for instance, in our company, all server-side processing, everything is built for Linux environment. No offense for Microsoft, but they're still not able to provide good server solutions. I mean, it's slow. It's good for certain applications, but for real-time applications, that's not the best option.
This is maybe a result of the large organization. They need to think for a lot of things, take care for the backward compatibility.
Yeah, exactly.
There are millions of customers, and if you put something that don't work with the previous version, everybody is going to hate you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I see some of our audience. This is a promise for smiling.
Yeah. I'd really love to help you guys. Of course, we'll have to do a lot of things. We'll focus on the practice. I've always been doing that. The practice is that the skill is what is important. It's really what is important. And I can definitely help you to prepare for a couple of remote opportunities, that's for sure.
Also, we have, for all participants, we have additional training focused on freelancing and product management.
Yeah.
As a country, markets, every country, the local market is limited with slight exceptions of USA and China, where I have a friend working for China, and he told me, now I am focused on smaller cities, cities with size from 2 to 5 million citizens. For this, when the market is limited, we need to focus on the global competitiveness, participation in global market. And there's one side is participation as an individual, this in freelance community. And another side is as an organization. One organization to participate in the global economy, you need to have better product management skills. And
plenty of skills, communication
yes,
as well.
This
communication,
is Sava.
Yeah, communication a skill as well. Yes, code blocks can be used here, David, or David, sorry. I'm not sure how I'm pronouncing it, but yes, code blocks can be used for sure. It's up to you again, it's your preference. About the remote jobs and so on. So if I can give one example, let's say I have to build a football team. Yeah, it's popular in our countries. I have to build a football team. If I have to build it only from my city, probably I'll have a very average team, right? Not so many options. If I build it for the Balkan Peninsula, maybe it will get better, but still limited. If I'm looking for players around the world, well, I can build an amazing team. And this is what the modern concept of the remote jobs is. They are all looking for talent. We are all, because I'm actually part and was part of such companies. We are all looking for talent. We don't care about ethnicity, cultural differences, location. So the slogan is anywhere, anytime, anything. You can work from anywhere. You can use anything that can, with which you can do your job better, hardware or whatever. And that's the way to go. That's the future of the jobs. The topics that will be covered, Goga, are probably basics, but if I am sort of adaptable, so if the pace of the group is quite good, we'll move forward and forward with the best we can. Any other questions, thoughts?
Should share that logistics for contact signing between student and JITA will take about 1 week, maybe. So it is a very high probability that we will not be able to start in beginning of December because of this time for signing. So just announce that starting date may be postponed.
Yep, so I'll get back to this screen as I see
Yes.
Question from Goga.
We are flexible and we will be able to make some updates. Because our job is to be helpful to our students, and if we cannot arrange all the requirements for the students to start on 30th November, we will be adjust the schedule, and most probably we'll start later. And of course, then you'll continue next year. Sava, can you share how many hours a student should study per week? What is your
According to
recommendation?
I would say 10 hours studying, 20 hours practicing. So in total, 30 hours per week should be fine. If we are aiming high, right? And if time permits. Black Shark 2. Hello, Black Shark. Can I ask later about C++ and where? You can ask me, I guess. I don't know what will be the organization, but probably we will have some Slack or something. How it will be, Nikolai? Or...
21st of November.
Sorry?
No problem. It is some site noise. We are in digital world and we have a lot of environment around us.
But in general, yes, it will be possible to ask later questions. Where? To be defined.
There's some research by a famous American professor. I think it was Dale. This is regarding the long-term memory. If you need to create some knowledge and to keep it in your memory for long term, you need to continue to study it every day, at least for 20 days. Because when you study something today, just in the moment you have a high level of understanding, probably 80% or 90%. But after 1 hour, this percentage going down. Tomorrow, going further. And after 1 week, you forgot almost everything. That is why Sava tell you that you need to study 10 hours lecture, 20 hours practice. That make 30 hours per week. And this week after week,
will give the results, right?
Yes, results are...
Don't be afraid, guys. Let me tell you a quick, funny story. Again, when I went to Austria, to Vienna, and on the 3rd month, there was a project related to development with Visual C++ and MFC. Back then, such technology existed, still exists, by the way. Anyway, so they asked me, do you know? I said, of course. Of course, I had no idea what it is about. And I didn't sleep for about 3 weeks. There you go. I was ready. So it is possible, and it's all about will. I'm not very intelligent, so everybody can do it.
Should I make some extra classes myself to pass the exam, to be sure?
Yes, you'll have to. Practicing. Just, I'll give you hints during the training, but you can create a couple of targets for you, just creating a couple of applications that you have in mind, or will be interesting to do, and you'll have to push till the very end to do them. That will help you. It's not only about the exam. The exam is just one side of the business. In reality, it's about, again, the skill set. Sorry for repeating my skill, but it's all about skill set. And skill set can be achieved only by coding, smart coding. I will definitely give you, so there is, again, Black Shark 2. Will you give us homework? Definitely, I will. And I will chase you, believe me. Kidding. It's up to you, but yes, I will provide plenty of. I'm still interested. What are the minimal requirements to get the C++ job? Well, to be honest, this is too vague to be generalized, right? It depends on the domain field. Let's say if you are into the security or networking development, you need very good knowledge in C++ and networking by itself, right? you need to understand the communications and so on to be proficient in that area. So single-handed, only C++ by itself doesn't open a lot of doors. Let me tell it this way, right? You need something additional to that, like I provided this example. Or if you jump into the gaming industry, probably you need some artificial intelligence knowledge, algorithms, and so on. They're needed everywhere, but specific algorithms plus C++. If you're like I'm into the trading business, probably it's more easier because it's only C++, but you need to understand the finances. But you can learn that along the way. Will there be interesting exercises during the course? Well, that's a controversial question. For me, that might be very interesting. For you, they might be super boring, but I hope that we'll find middle ground for both of us.
There's a question for differences between applications we are going to use.
Yeah, there are some differences, of course, in their capabilities, of course. Some of them are expensive, some of them are cheap. Of course, there are differences. But from the perspective of our targets, of what we are going to learn, there is not a big difference. At the end of the day, we are not going to build enterprise applications during this training, right? So we won't need enterprise features.
How you will count our activities in course?
We'll create repositories where you can commit your code. And of course, I will talk with each one of you when it's needed, probably on a weekly basis, to see your progress. And I will verify your homeworks for each one of you. That's common practice, right? And provide feedback, of course. So it will be more like a workshop. Don't get it as just me talking over Zoom for about 3 hours and that's it. Don't get it this way.
Our style for delivery of trainings is these trainings should be interactive and practical oriented.
Yeah.
That is different from the typical university or higher education study. We expect from students to participate not only during these lectures, but also to have to dedicate this time between lectures to practice and to do their homeworks.
There is a question I believe we didn't answer. Nadezhda, Nikit, is this time of the course enough to learn the topic? No. It's an entry point, to be honest with you guys. You have to self-develop in this manner. No one can become an expert in C++ for 1 month, even for a year. And to be honest, even for 3 years. That's why I said it takes a lot of time, but it pays off. Just trust me. Of course, we'll be prepared well for the exam and some entry point jobs. If you're beginners, of course, I don't know what's your background, but if you're aiming high, you should invest a lot in this, in general, in learning the language, the technology, and so on. Kind of personal question from Anna. Do you prefer working remotely completely? I find it interesting real-life communication between colleagues and can't substitute. Well, that's, again, it depends on the personality, right? On your lifestyle, if you wish. I work remotely already entirely for 6 years. The past 2 years, I'm going from time to time to our office, right? Just to catch up with our colleagues. This is our lifestyle, twice per week. So, but we are geeks, you know. We don't need a lot of communication one-on-one. The challenge, let me tell you that the challenge in the remote environment is to be able to communicate on one hand, and on the other hand, to be very well self-organized. That's the key to success. You should have a daily, doesn't matter that you are wearing your t-shirt, you're in your apartment, house, or whatever, you should have a strict daily routine. I wake up, let's say at 8, 9 o'clock, I take my coffee, then I start 2 hours, I'll be reading that. 2 hours, I'll be coding this and that, and so on. So, long story short, yes, I prefer remotely, but completely, it's hard, right? Some guys around me couldn't manage it for a longer period, right? They just couldn't manage. But the good thing is that you're competitive, or you're in competition with talents from around the globe. So that boosts you, that gives you the opportunities and the push to keep developing yourself. Otherwise, if you're isolated, let's say, if I'm isolated in my home city, Sofia, right, that's like 2 million people, couple of companies, how I can develop myself? Cannot move too much.
I believe that this event will be the training with Sava will be highly interactive, and you can benefit from his rich experience. I can send only a few words. It is a huge advantage to have Sava in your team. When Sava is with you, everything happens easy, nice, smiley, and this is his style of work. He is ready to meet unexpected, and the things will be done. Thank you, Sava.
Thank you, guys.